I'm back here fully committed for class 8 video 1, okay? And today we are going to talk a little bit more extensively about the crucial topic of subject-verb agreement. What is that? It's the plural agreeing with the verb, right? I'm going to use a PDF that I really like, but I'd like to remind you that in my opinion book, since we're still talking about opinion, thank you. In the opinion book, there's subject-verb agreement, book 2, on pages 24 and 25. Yes, 24 and 25. It talks about plural, subject, verb, agreement, and that's what I'm going to talk about here today, and I'll talk a bit more about it later. This is very important because it's one of the biggest mistakes in ION. Let's go. Here we are, this PDF. It's a PDF from, it's an academic one, right? It's David Souter, and I found it really good. I always use it. I might have 300 other materials, but this one I found to be really well organized. And I always use it for my classes, okay? And here we're already getting started. What appears on this slide are example definitions. What I'm talking about is countable noun, okay? It's the countable noun and the uncountable noun. It's a noun that you can count. The countable one, I can count. 1, 2, 3, and so on. But the uncountable noun usually doesn't become plural. That's the difference between them. So plural, articles, quantifiers, that's the foundation, okay? And there's a catch. Some words can be both things. And now we're going to take a look. Check all of this out. Some nouns belong to both classes. For example, difficulty. So what I'm saying is this. Some words change class depending on the meaning. Difficulty can be uncountable when it's general, like with a little difficulty. But it can become countable when referring to specific cases. Difficulties and talk is the same. Talks means lectures, and talk can mean conversation as a general idea. The trick here is always to ask yourself, am I talking about something specific or about a general concept, plural? Now, the part that students find strange is that when something is uncountable, it can become countable by classification. And now let's look at the following. Here. This one is really interesting. Sometimes a noun that is usually uncountable becomes countable when we're talking about classification. Classifying the type of wine, for example, here. Just because the name is Australian wine, I can put it in the plural. It's as if the word is saying variety. This is very common with food and drink. You can see here, prefer Sumatran coffees. But in this case here, see, coffee is uncountable. It became a plural, okay? Now let's move on, yes. The subject-verb agreement that we're going to look at, okay? And here we go. Now, what I'm going to tell you is a short definition of subject-verb agreement. It's simply this. The verb needs to match the subject in number, whether it's singular or plural. It seems easy until the student puts a bunch of words in the middle and forgets who the real subject is. Let's start with a structure that confuses everyone, which is there is, there are. There are many questions. There is a question, okay? I'd like to remind you about countable and uncountable way back. We talked about this right at the beginning of English classes, that much is uncountable and little, the opposite of much, is also uncountable. The word many is a countable noun. The word few, which is the direct opposite of the word many, is also a countable quantifier. So therefore, let us now proceed to discuss this further. There are many questions. Questions is countable. There is a question. It's countable, but it's just one. Let's start with a structure that confuses everyone. Okay, and now let's talk about collectives. Did I skip something? No. Collectives. All collectives, as you saw, are uncountable. The team, the committee, the family, the brotherhood, neighborhood, everything that is collective can be treated as a unit, an amount. Okay, and the verb is in the singular, obviously. As you can see here, the team runs during practice. The committee decides how to proceed. And collectives, the nouns, it's a general rule. Look, the government can be either singular or plural, and the class as well. They are collectives, but they can be either a singular or else as plural. And that's how we go along. Now we're going to talk about words that end in S, but aren't always plural. Look, the news is on at 6 o'clock, but we have several others. Mathematics, scissors. Oh, sorry, scissors, tweezers, trousers. They are already plural. Why? Because there are two there. But with the news, we have much more there. The news, math, missiles, physics. So there are several nouns and they have a plural form, but they are singular. In the case of scissors and trousers, they are plural. But I can make it singular. A pair of trousers is torn. So it becomes singular because a pair is uncountable. It's countable, just one. Nobody, everybody, somebody, anyone, no one. They always require the verb in the singular. Now, let's carefully look at this particular nuance here. Any of their highly recommended books are definitely worth reading. This specific sentence here, it goes in the plural form because I'm clearly talking about the books themselves, not just a single one. It's really the books themselves that are actually quite plural indeed. This often trips people up when you're writing, right? So you have to be very careful, okay? And when the subject has two things connected by and, look how interesting. When the subject is A and B, it's usually plural. Here's an example, John. And I work the assignment together. 1 + 1 is 2. A, John and I, okay? But there's an exception when it becomes a single idea, like food, a combination. Bacon and eggs is a combination, right? So it's a type of food. So it's considered singular, okay? If the expression is seen as a single item, it can be singular. Now switch and for all. Then everything changes. Look here, the book or the pen is in the drawer. So here it's singular, as you can see, okay? And also nor. You can use it too, right? Which in this case isn't. Oh, actually, it is showing here, look. With or nor, the verb will be singular, okay? Because it's one or the other, right? Neither one nor the other. So if everything is singular, the verb stays singular. The book or the pen is, if you have singular or plural, like here, look. The rule tends to be, it's the one closest to the verb. Then it will count as plural. And conversely, you can see here, it's the one that's close to the verb. See how interesting this is? Now comes the golden rule. Don't fall into the trap of the middle block. Look at this. This is what frequently happens in many situations most often, and it's a common occurrence as a mistake. In the I6S, so let's go. The verb agrees with the head noun, always with the main subject, the subject, okay? What I'm saying here, this is the rule that saves lives. Don't be fooled by the phrase in the middle. The verb agrees with the head noun, the true core. One of the boxes is, because the head noun is one, see? The team. Captain as well as his player is, because the head noun is the team of captain. This here doesn't matter at all. What matters is the head noun, okay? The student needs to practice, to hunt for the core. It's important. When it comes to writing, it's very important to practice. So what? What about when there's an off in the middle then? Same logic, okay? Same logic. A book of answers comes with the study guide. Here, okay? The verb agrees with the head, right? Also, but it's a complex subject, okay? This one here is the subject, and this one here is also the subject. But the first one is what counts, okay? What's the main thing then? It's the first one, it's the book. So he will use the singular form. Now the quantity, and here the student's head spins because it's an amount as a whole. Singular. Example. All amount, 6 years. That's it. You really feel like putting a little plural there, don't you? But you can't, it's an amount, you can't do it. $3 is, 10 kilometers is, the number is. Look closely. The number is an amount, okay? Because it's just a quantity. It's a block. It's an amount. The students on the course is the last year. I'm not interested in this here. What I'm interested in is this here, to know what I'm going to use in the verb. It's singular because it's an amount. But with number of, the whole story changes, right? Now with a number of, it changes too, okay? A number of and another one. Not in the plural, because that was the number. The one above there was the number of with a not in the plural. Now, a number of with a not in the plural focuses on the individuals. So it goes to the plural. A number of students do not. A total of 88 is an amount. The total is an amount. It refers to a closed total, a set. This can go to the singular. Here, the student needs to think, am I highlighting people or the total? Did you understand that? Now, the part that appears a lot in graphs, very important for those doing academic work. What appears on the slide here, look, let's look here. The part that shows up is fractions. Percent fractions, quantifiers, very important. More rules plus verb agreement. And more examples. Look, with fractions and percentages, the verb agrees with the noun after of. Understood? 2/3 of the task is singular because it's uncountable, right? 2/3 of the articles are. Articles is plural because it's countable. Same thing with all, with some, with much, with many. All the essential information is always singular, just like valuable advice, heavy traffic, or extensive travel. All of these are uncountable. Later, I'll give you a list of words that we have no idea are uncountable. And to wrap up right now, a truly dangerous duo. Absolutely none of and exactly half of. Take a look. 9.5, okay? Of. It can be singular or plural, depending on whether it's countable, more examples, more with mixtures, and more with ingredients. There, since it's countable, right? None of and half of. It can be singular or plural. The decision depends on the noun. None of the mixture. Mixture is uncountable. It's a mass, a whole. So it's singular. None of the ingredients are left. Ingredients are countable. So it's plural. In other words, always look at the word that comes after them. And that's it. Now you already have a mental map for agreement. And if you like this lesson on plurals, comment below and give it a like. I could use some likes, okay? See you in the next lesson.